everybody. Charlie and Linda Bloom here with you. And today we're going to be speaking to you about the coronavirus, since it's so much on everybody's mind and creating a lot of anxiety and intense feelings for people. So we had another subject planned for today that we completely tossed out because we want to zero in on some concerns that aren't really being addressed nearly enough by the media. Media is doing a really good job of telling people shelter at home, don't go to work virtually if you can, stay several feet away from other people to lower contagion, don't touch your face, wash your hands a lot, and to be really careful and to not be exposed to the virus. All physical world things, important, but addressing the psychological, emotional, soul needs that we all have in the midst of the crisis that's likely to go on more than just weeks, likely to be going on for months. That's what we would like to speak about today. And the title of the talk, The Blessings of the Crisis. We've been talking about crises of all kinds for many years. And I always tell people in my workshops and the people that I do counseling with that crises are highly underrated. If people can just keep going business as usual, they will. And it's a crisis that brings us to our knees. So not in any way, shape, or form to underestimate how tremendous this crisis is worldwide. But in addition to the danger, seeking out the opportunity. Because if we seek out the opportunity to find the lessons that are embedded in the crisis, it will give us a little bit more peace, a little bit more tranquility, a little bit more centeredness in the midst of the crisis. And to remember that generations for thousands and thousands of years have gone through crises of all kinds. And there's something very resilient about the human spirit, even the human body. And so this is going to come to a close at some point. It's nerve-wracking to not know how long it's going to go on for. But to use the opportunity to see what is really important to us.
Well, we are definitely in a time of crisis, in the literal sense of the word. The word crisis originally comes from the Greek, strangely known in Greek as crisis, except it's spelled
with a K.
With a K, and not with a C. And what it means is it refers to a situation in which our health or well-being, in fact, our very life might be threatened by a circumstance that is causing a profound change, including the possibility of losing our life. So it's certainly, in the literal sense of the word, a very important time, and it is a time of crisis. Interestingly, going from the Greek to the Chinese use characters to represent words. And there are two words in Chinese, two characters that represent the meaning of a crisis.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them is danger, and the other one is opportunity. And we're more familiar, most of us, with the danger of a crisis. When we think of the word, we don't think, oh boy, a wonderful opportunity here. Although often there is an opportunity embedded in the crisis. It's just not as obvious as the danger. And so we tend to be more fearful than curious when we encounter something that feels like it's challenging or changing our current reality. And this current crisis is called the novel crisis, in terms of what it is that we're really facing, and it's unprecedented. You know, it's a virus that we have had no experience with. So novel means new, and we are indeed experiencing a new, what many people refer to as a new normal. Now, this normal, which doesn't feel very normal, it feels abnormal, is hopefully temporary. But there is an incredible opportunity in it. In fact, multiple opportunities. And we don't wish to be Pollyanna-ish about this and say, oh, this is wonderful. You know, look at the bright side. No, we're not denying that there are huge difficulties and challenges in living in a time where there is a new norm, and the old norm has seemingly almost instantly vanished under our feet. It's a time of great disturbance, of disorientation. We are no longer oriented towards the world as we have known it. And we haven't had much notice at all about this. This certainly has come about unexpectedly, suddenly, and seemingly very, very quickly. And so if you're feeling disoriented or anxious or scared or even overwhelmed, it's not surprising. And it's not necessarily because there's anything wrong with you. If you look around and listen to people who are willing to be honest themselves, with themselves and with you, what you'll find is that you are not alone. No, we are all experiencing culture shock because we're living in a new culture. And we have not had adequate preparation to meet this new reality.
I want to mention that these people who have been resilient over the eons, thousands and thousands of years, they lived more simply than we do. Our lives are complex. We have a lot of possessions, most of us. And so one of the blessings that I have found already in the crisis is we don't need very much. We don't need very much to thrive. Food, water, roof over our head, and connections with other people. And I'm all about connection. Everybody who knows me knows I'm all about connection. I have a list of people that I want to spend time with, either by Skype or Zoom or phone, and take time to see how they're doing. Are they sheltering in place? Are they still going to grocery stores? Where are they on the spectrum? Are they on the more conservative end, where they're not interfacing with other people and they're staying for the most part in their own home or yard? Or are they on the more liberal, risky end of the spectrum, where they're going on life as usual? The people I'm hanging out with, most of them are on the more conservative end. And I'm grateful for that, because I really feel that it's better to be safe rather than have regrets and be sorry. So if we're taking extra precautions and we don't really need them, that's my stance. But I don't feel like I'm on the hysterical end of the spectrum. I'm sort of towards middle, but a little bit more on the conservative side. And I'm really grateful that we're aligned, because I know that there are couples who are having a really divisive time because one of them is more liberal and the other one's more conservative. And we were on the phone this morning doing a Zoom session with somebody in Great Britain who told us there's already research out just in recent weeks about couples who are separating and planning to divorce because being out of work is throwing them together. And one of the ways they were keeping the relationship going is by living very separate lives. And being thrown together has finished them off. We want couples to come closer out of this crisis, to have a real meeting of the hearts and minds, and to see how this is one of the essential, like food and water, to really thrive, to not feel alone. Because when we feel alone, the anxiety and fear goes up, and we feel connected to our family, to our partner if we have one, to people in our community and our friendship network. The anxiety and fear level goes down some, because we don't feel like we have to get through the crisis all alone.
Yeah, just speaking to the interviewer that we were speaking with this morning in Great Britain, was really reaffirming that not only are we not alone, and the people that we know, in terms of meeting this challenge or trying to meet it, but there are other countries that this is truly international, and the issues that are coming up for people here are the exact same issues that are coming up for people in other countries. And relative to how difficult some people have it, in terms of them being disadvantaged or being limited by their circumstances, like people who are homeless or people who are incarcerated, or people who are very dependent upon services that may not be available to them. We are very, very fortunate. It's all relative. But I really want to underscore what Linda was saying about the other aspects of our lives, in addition to the supports that we need to sustain ourselves physically. We live in a very materialistic culture. That is a culture which identifies us with our physical experience, our physical bodies, our physical and material accomplishments and possessions. But many of us find it very difficult to remember that we are more than just this physical body made out of flesh and blood and bones. That is who we identify ourselves as. But there are other needs that we have besides our physical needs that have to be met in order for us to flourish, to be healthy, and to have a higher sense of well-being. And when those needs are not fulfilled and met, we experience certain symptoms. And we don't always link them to our soul's needs, because that's what we're referring to when we talk about the non-physical needs, the needs of our soul, needs for connection, needs for love, needs for feeling that who I am matters in the world, that I am more than just what I can produce and what I can provide for other people, that I'm more than just my roles or my job or my bank account. It's so easy to forget that my needs, that my soul requires for fulfillment, for a sense of purpose, are just as important to who I am, which includes more than just this body. So one of the gifts, one of the blessings in a crisis, in this crisis, is that it forces us to pay attention to things that we're normally too busy to notice, because we're distracted by all of the requirements of fulfilling the needs of our physical being.
So some people know that one of the things that Charlie and I do is take groups to foreign lands. We call them the magical mystery tours. And we took a group to Cuba a few years ago, and it was a highlight of the trip when our Cuban tour guide was telling us about what they referred to as the special time. It was when the US put the embargo on Cuba and they weren't able to get imports from the US that they had been relying on for years. And there was a gap between when they weren't getting food from the US and they hadn't yet found other sources like Venezuela to send them foodstuffs. And I said, well, people must have been starving to death. And she said it was a very difficult time. I myself was pregnant at that time, she told me, and there were a lot of premature births because of the malnourishment of the pregnant mothers. She said, but there were not deaths from starvation, because no matter how little anybody had, we all shared with each other. And that just touched me so much that in the crisis, they all pulled together and they came through it intact and alive. And I think we need inspiration like that. There's another piece of inspiration that I would like to offer to you. Thich Nhat Hanh is a Buddhist monk from Vietnam. He's not teaching now because he's old and he's very sick. But Charlie and I were privileged to be able to be with him when he was hale and hearty. And he has poetry as a core teaching. And there's a quote of a poem that I love. When the crowded Vietnamese refugee boats met with storms or pirates, if everyone panicked, all would be lost. But if even one person in the boat remained calm and centered, it was enough. It showed the way for everyone to survive. So if we can take inspiration from my guide in Cuba about sharing what we have, not to hoard, to feel abundant that we have enough that we can share. If we can learn from Thich Nhat Hanh and the boat people, one person in the boat can help stabilize the panic so that people don't get thrown overboard. Wherever we draw our inspiration from, we can be that sturdy person in the boat and that person who shares what they have. You want to read your poem?
Yeah, so I'd like to share a poem that I have personally found incredibly inspiring. And this is a novel poem, meaning that this is new too. This is one of the new things that has come about through the blessing of this crisis that we're in. It was written by a woman named Kristen Flintz very, very recently, as you'll hear. And it's called an imagined letter from the COVID-19 to humans. So I would really invite you, if you are preoccupied with something or you're multitasking right now, if you can give all or at least as much of your attention to this, not just to listen to the words, but to really be present, to do what you need to do, to let go of anything that you're holding in your hands or on your lap or in your head or in your body, and just give yourself the gift of being present and open to receiving the gift of this poem. Stop. Just stop. It's no longer a request. It's a mandate. We will help you. We will bring the supersonic, high-speed merry-go-round to a halt. We will stop the planes. We'll stop the trains, the schools, the malls, the meetings, the frenetic, furied rush of illusions and obligations that keep you from hearing our single and shared beating heart. The way we breathe together in unison. Our obligation is to each other, as it always has been, even though you have forgotten. We will interrupt this broadcast, the endless, cacophonous broadcast of divisions and distractions, to bring you this long-breaking news. We are not well. None of us. All of us are suffering. Last year, the firestorms that scorched the lungs of the earth did not give you pause, nor the typhoons in Africa, China, Japan, nor the fevered climates of Japan and India. You have not been listening. It's hard to listen when you're so busy all the time, hustling to uphold the comforts and conveniences that scaffold your lives. But the foundation is giving way, buckling under the weight of your needs and desires. We will help you. We will bring the firestorms to your body. We will bring the fever to your body. We will bring the burning, searing, and flooding to your lungs, that you might hear that we are not well. Despite what you might think or feel, we are not the enemy. We are messenger. We are ally. We are a balancing force. We are asking you to stop, to be still, to listen, to move beyond your individual concerns and consider the concerns of all. To be with your ignorance, to find your humility, to relinquish your thinking minds and travel deep into the mind of the heart. To look up into the sky, streaked with fewer planes, and see it. To notice its condition. Clear, smoky, smoggy, rainy. How much do you need it to be healthy? So that you may also be healthy. To look at a tree, to see it, to notice its condition. How does its health contribute to the health of the sky? To the air that you need to be healthy. To visit a river and see it and notice its condition. Clear, clean, murky, polluted. How much do you need it to be healthy so that you may also be healthy? How does its health contribute to the health of the tree? Who contributes to the health of the sky so that you may also be healthy? Many are afraid now. Do not demonize your fear. And also, do not let it rule you. Instead, let it speak to you in your stillness. Listen for its wisdom. What might it be telling you about what is at work, at issue, at risk, beyond the threats of personal inconvenience and illness? As the health of a tree, a river, the sky, tells you about the quality of your own health, what might the quality of your health tell you about the health of the rivers, the trees, the sky, and all who are sharing this planet with you. Stop. Notice if you are resisting. Notice what you are resisting and ask, why? Stop. Just stop. Be still and listen. Ask us what we might teach you about illness and about healing, about what might be required so that all might be well. We will help you if you will listen. You might call those words of wisdom words of love, words that are needed by all of us now.
Okay. Thank you for the beautiful poem.
Thank you, Kristen.
That's a pretty heavy hitter, that one.
Yep.
So next week's topic is adults get to have timeouts too. Please do.
If you found this talk helpful, please be sure to let your friends know. We think that the more people that can hear those words, the better off we're all going to be. So feel free to pass this on and to encourage your friends to check it out. Okay. Good luck.
Be safe.
Be well.